How many realities are there? This is a foolish question in the minds of many. Everyone knows, or think they know, there is only one reality. There can only be one reality because reality is what is real. How can there be more than one reality? There might be a lot of interpretations about the nature and structure and substance of this reality. But deep down at the fundamental level, there is only one reality. Despite the conjecture about the nature of this reality and the form it takes, there is only one reality behind all of the speculation. However, a more sophisticated thinker will admit that, despite the one reality, there has to be other realities. Claiming there is but one reality does not answer all of the problems associated with this position. Indeed, it is speculated by some, there could be an infinite number of universes. But those who discuss philosophy tend to argue that even if there are untold numbers of universes, these merely are a subclass of things, within a larger and higher universe composed of many universes, even as a corporation has many local branches. The multiplicity of universes is just one more conception within the conception of a single universe with many different manifestations. But there still remains a problem with this conception of the one universe because no matter how broad and all-encompassing this understanding of the one universe is, it always rejects one reality. The fact is, the one reality viewpoint has to reject one option to exist. The one reality hypothesis must reject the two reality hypothesis, or the hypothesis that there is a reality that is contingent, and all-encompassing will contradict itself. The two reality hypothesis contains the absolute, analytical, and logical universe. Logic does not entertain the idea of conflicting truths. Yet, the one reality hypothesis must be logically coherent to exist, which means it has to be logical and analytical even while denying such things are substantively real. Yet, logic cannot substantiate there being only a logical reality, because logically we are aware of the one reality hypothesis. There must be a reality composed of analytically correct truths and deductive logic, but this cannot exclude the contingent truths of the inductive worldview. There is, as we know, lies and false opinions. Logic tells us, therefore, there are necessarily two realities. The one reality hypothesis does not necessarily deny there is more than one reality. But they will deny these other realities fundamental, or existentially independent. However, in admitting of the existence of other realities, they create a contradiction. Accepting there are a multitude of realities does not prevent the formation of a contradiction. No matter how many universe materialists include, they will still exclude the reality of absolutes. Ultimately, naturalists are relativists. The very act of saying there are different interpretations and ideas about what is real means there is no reality, such that it rejects the naturalist interpretation about what is real. Naturalists believe only natural universes exist. To understand this problem better, we need to remember relativism does not arrive out of a vacuum. The relativist is a relativist because he or she is a phenomenologist. In the phenomenologist viewpoint, all facts come from what is perceived and perceivable by the senses. However, there is no way to validate one interpretation without some margin of error. Every pronouncement must come with the qualification that at some point in the future, all that is thought true might change. Naturalists do not say the world is physical, as a final statement of truth, as it might change. But what does not change is that whatever reality is, it is not an absolute truth. This is why atheists will believe anything other than that reality is an absolute. Reality can be anything other than what is 100% verifiable. Doubt must always be possible if reality is to be physical. That is the secret to the liberal agenda. Assert that we can be certain of nothing and so everything is possible, but certainty. Not only is everything but certainty possible, it is all permissible. Everyone has a place at the table, other than the ones who say truth exists and is knowable. But that is the problem with the reality that atheists live in. If everything is acceptable, nothing is excluded, everything is permissible but truth, because truth is not liberal, and it is not negotiable. Truth is nothing, if it does not exclude what is untrue. The one thing truth is not, is it is not liberal. The doctrine of absolute relativity that buttresses liberalism expands to accept and make room for an infinity of ideas and opinions. Liberal reality encompasses everything, other than logic, morality, and truth. As these are predicated on the absoluteness of what is true. The reader might want to know why logic is exclusionary, whereas doubt is all-encompassing. We know lies always contradict. Investigators know that as long as someone is lying and talking, they will at some point contradict the lie. But liars pile lies on top of lie to cover up the initial contradiction. But as lies proliferate, it gets harder and harder to cover them without even more lies. As the lies continue, at some point the contradictions become so preposterous not even the liar can pretend to believe them. The Bible is the Word of God, but atheists can lie about this. At some point, their lies cease to support the narrative and become counterproductive. Which is why few atheists will debate the claim. They prefer the Christian try and convince them of what they refuse to countenance. Atheists do not consider where the lie takes them or its repercussions. If reality is not created like everything else is created, then it must originate by some other, magical means. There is nothing preposterous about a perfect mind conceiving a perfect thought, but if there is no mind to think the thought, then what is there? Thinking things into creation is the only mode of conception humans understand or can even conceive of that makes sense. Evolution is only plausible in its mystery. The more known, the less plausible it is. Knowing everything there is to know about evolution dissolves the process in the depths of its own absurdities. Even if the motion of a body is explained by the impact on it, from whence comes the understanding? How does matter produce metaphysics? It is one thing to claim metaphysical ideas are invalid, but that is a metaphysical claim. How does causality produce metaphysics and the natural world the producer of analytical, if not absolute truth? If the mind is physical, from when comes the spiritual? If the mind is in a physical state producing but causal events, from where does the sublime and analytical come? Where is 2 + 2 is equal to 4 found in the electrical impulses of neurons? How does the phenomenology of the senses develop the concept of a transcendent God? Surely if everything we know and experience is mundane, how does this mortal realm produces images of the sublime? Why are there metaphysical truths in a relativistic culture? Somehow, this physical and material world produces beauty. Why do we even have the notions of right and wrong, when logically, there is no right and wrong in a relativistic universe? Were it not for metaphysics, we could not know about the insufficiency of inductive thinking. We would not have better and best had we not had the perfection of metaphysical truths to compare our statements and ideas to. We need the idea of a transcendent God to understand the baseness of our own nature. There are only 2 possibilities, and we cannot get around this logically. Of course, that does not mean much to those who think there are an infinite range of relativistic possibilities. But that infinite range is still only one possibility? Infinity is the possibility of an infinity of relativistic possibilities. But no matter how large the sample is, it never includes the possibility of one set of absolute truths. No matter how large the class, it cannot include that class of things which contradicts it. This is what this essay has attempted to accentuate and stress. If the world is physical, it is composed of different interpretations of the brain. In this conception of reality, we all receive the same inputs from a reality that is out there, in some external place. Our receives inputs from this external source and interprets these signals, and that is our reality. We all see the same event, at least that is what we assume, but we all see it in different ways. Ask 10 people what happened and we will get 10 different stories. All we need to do to prove this is watch a court case unfold. The witnesses see the same event, but each one sees what happened differently. The jury comes to different conclusions about the degree of guilt or innocence. After a lot of debate, they make a decision. Not everyone agrees with it, but one group realize they will never convince the rest, so give up and agree with the loudest voices. The judge listens to the case and the jury's decision and makes a decision on sentencing that some agree with, and others violently disagree with. Similar cases will get different sentences. There is nothing objective or very comforting about the process. Sometimes it seems as much injustice is done as justice. We use science as a kind of court system to determine the truth. But there is no truth in a relativistic system. Every scientific finding has room for doubt. Every theory is open to revision. There is no final scientific finding. Everything science says is true is actually open to reinterpretation. We say science is exact because the scientific method has developed precise systems of measurement. But these are analytical systems, not physical, and they are not empirical. The 24 hours in a day is not an empirical discovery. It's a number generated by a subjective, human process, as are the numbers of minutes. That is, one idea about reality is of reality as a substance that is independent of our minds, but which our minds attempt to penetrate. But if this substance is real, then ideas and concepts are just ideas of the brain without any true reality. Ideas are said to be subjective and even metaphysical, as they cannot be observed by the senses. But to say ideas are not real because the senses cannot perceive them is nonsensical. What does it mean to say our ideas cannot be sensed when our ideas are the only thing we do sense? Who truly can believe love, faith, truth, morality, logic, and so on are not real? We could not believe anything if we decided to not believe what is commonly said to be subjective. A tree may be or seem to be physically real, but no one knows what a tree is until we define it. Without the thing being linked to a definition, there is no reality as we understand it. We cannot say truth is a color or that morality is the way we fix engines. Words have meaning, and if we use them in the wrong way, our reality becomes chaotic or collapses. Some say a trans woman is a woman, but then what is a woman? If there is no difference between men and women, how does one know what one is, or was? What was this person before they became a woman, if there is no difference? How is a trans woman a woman, if women do not exist as a unique class of things? If there are not just two sexes, then how does a man become a woman or a woman a man? Is saying you are a woman or trans woman not sexist, since this implies a woman is a specific thing with characteristics distinct from what a man is? If this is so, then how does one transition to the other? What happened to the defining characteristics? Once you eliminate definitions, you eliminate reality. There is a reality where definitions do not matter, and every reality is based on personal experience. In this reality, emotions hold sway, and triggers are one of the most feared of things. However, there is a reality in which definitions do matter, and our language is something to protect. The one reality viewpoint is relativistic and includes all meaning, therefore has no meaning, and the other reality is a reality where words have only one very specific meaning. The true meaning of words is truth in all meanings, and all ideas compose a single reality. There is a reality that contains all possible realities, other than the one which denies relativism and the absence of meaning. There is another reality which contains meaning and absolutes. But it also contains the reality of those who deny the reality and possibility of meaning. This is why these viewpoints are referred to as the one and two reality hypotheses. The one reality hypothesis says all relativistic and contingent conceptions of reality have value. The two reality hypothesis says there is a reality composed of absolute, analytical truths. Analytical truths are true by definition. True information is created from concepts and words that tautologically confirm themselves. All words have meaning, otherwise they are not words, they are noise. This is the universalist reality, the reality that applies to all. But there is a reality that denies all this and corrupts ideas and language and loses touch with meaning. The one reality hypothesis generates noise and destroys meaning. There has to be at least one reality, but there cannot be more than two. There has to be one reality that contains all conceptions about reality, or there is no reality. But this reality cannot contain absolutes, or a universal reality that encompasses everyone, because relativism rejects absolutes and metaphysical truths. If there was a reality that had metaphysical truths, it would invalidate the one reality hypothesis. Therefore, there has to be two realities, the reality of absolutes and non-contingent truth, and the reality that rejects absolutes and analytical truth. These two realities are incompatible. The differences cannot be negotiated away or reconciled. There has to be at least one reality, but not more than two. But there cannot be more than two realities because there can only be absolute truth and statements that are not tautological, metaphysical, analytical, or true. If you claim there are lies but no truth, then you lie. If you say there are no absolute truths, then you lie. If you say everything is contingent and open to interpretation, then you lie. If you subscribe to the one reality hypothesis and say there is only one all-encompassing reality, you lie. If you say there are lies, but the lies exist because there is an absolute truth formed by an absolute or universal mind, then you subscribe to the two reality hypothesis and speak the truth. Those are the choices. Those are the realities. You can lie or speak the truth.